You are now listening to the Youth Fusion Radio Hour.
Hello, listeners. Welcome back to our 6th episode of Youth Fusion Radio Hour, hosted by myself, Natalie. And then we got Marie, Brittany, and Gabby, the 4 of us together again.
Yeah.
We're excited to talk about a new but also very important topic today, healthy relationships. So we're going to get into what it means to have a healthy relationship. And then in our second half of the episode, we're going to cover a classic teen movie. Let's see if you guys can guess it with a few tips or hints I'm going to give right now. It has lots of singing, lots of dancing, a bunch of awkward teenagers. It's kind of an awkward movie overall, but you know. And in the movie, of course, there are both unhealthy and healthy relationships. So for those of you guys who guessed High School Musical, you are right. I cannot believe that movie actually came out in 2006. That is 14 years ago. But anyways, that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, when this movie came up, I was entering high school. So I remember singing all the songs with my friends. Yeah, but at that time, I was not understanding anything about the lyrics, though.
Man, 14 years really makes me feel old. But I'm so excited to talk to you guys about healthy relationships. When we talk about relationships, we don't just mean in the romantic sense, because there's so many different types of relationships. According to the handy dandy internet, a relationship is defined as a connectedness between 2 or more people. For example, Marie, Natalie, Gabby, and myself all have a relationship because we are connected within work, like creating this podcast. But this relationship looks way different from the relationship I have with my best friend. The important thing is that we're going to talk about today is how we have different forms of relationships and how they can all be healthy.
You guys want to know how old I am? You remember how you were entering high school in 2006, Gabby? Well, I graduated in 2007. Yeah. Deal with
right
that.
after High School Musical. Right after it.
If you guys were to see Marie, she does not look like she graduated in 2007 from high school.
No.
Craziness.
Anyways, thanks, Brittany. I think talking about healthy relationship is really important. After having talked about bullying, having a healthy relationship with people, meaning your friends, the other students at the school, your brothers and sisters, and even the administration and the teacher is really important. And don't worry, like Brittany says very well, we're not talking about being friends with everybody, but just having a healthy relationship, which implies good things for you. It really allows you to take care of yourself and have a good self-esteem. In a healthy relationship, you can feel safe to express yourself without fear. There are really only positive outcomes in a healthy and harmonious relationship with others.
From our own experiences and from some Googling as well, we've come up with a whole list of characteristics that are present in a healthy relationship. So listen closely, maybe take some notes, and try to think of ones that we mentioned that are present in your own healthy relationships and which may be missing, which then you can actually then talk with the other person to help improve your relationship.
Okay. So the first important things are mutual respect, trust, and honesty. Mutual respect means that each person values who the other is and understands the other's person's boundaries.
I think this is particularly important to remember in romantic relationship, as like self-boundaries can become blurry. But always remember that when you fall in love with that person, you fall in love for who she is or who he is. And trying to possess or control someone due to jealousy is always unhealthy. Even though you're in a couple, you want to give each other the space to be your own self and to do your own thing.
And then also having mutual respect in a friendship's equally important because then you kind of see each other as equals. You treat each other equally and fairly, and that also is a very important part of that relationship.
So trust. Friends should place trust in each other and give each other the benefit of the doubt. So, for example, if you hear somebody saying, "Oh, wow, that person said that about you, boo-hoo." Well, you know what? You can also trust your friend to respect you and not say stuff behind your back. And finally, honesty. Well, honesty builds trust and strengthens the relationship. So if you actually say something bad about somebody, well, it's not so bad as long as you go to them and be like, well, I said that I don't like your hat today and I made fun of him and I apologize for it. And that's really healthy.
Yeah, not keeping like secrets like that from each other. Very cool. Anyways, so on to our next little groupings of characteristics. So we have compromise and individuality. So in compromise, so for example, in a dating relationship, each partner does not always get his or her way. So you acknowledge that there are different points of view and you're willing to give and take.
And this is also true in true friendship. I mean, you should always be able to accommodate each other.
It's also true in like a parent-child friendship, right? Because kind of the older you get and you realize that your parent doesn't do everything for you, you are also have to give back to your parents. So whether that be if they cook you dinner, you clean the dishes, right? And trying to be kind of like have something like that in your relationship. And then our other characteristic here, individuality, meaning that neither person should have to compromise who or she is, what or his or her identity should be based on the partners. So each should continue seeing his or her friends and doing the things they love. Each should be supportive of their partner, wanting to pursue new hobbies or make new friends.
To know, so you can ask yourself, like, do I complain if one of my friends or if my partner sees someone I don't like, or if they do something I don't like? Even with goodwill, we often tend to comment based on our own opinions, and to express our opinions without impeding on other people's individuality. I think it's really good to have good communication and anger control.
Yeah, leading into our two other characteristics. So good communication, like Gabby said. So that's when each partner should speak honestly and openly, similarly to being honest, to avoid miscommunication. So if one person needs to sort out their feelings first, then the other partner should respect those wishes and wait till they are ready to talk.
Yeah, and good communication is also basically the base of the first three characteristics we mentioned, which is mutual respect, trust, and honesty. Like, it's based on these three things.
For sure. Like, I'm not sure about you guys, but I've definitely had past relationships which have ended because of poor communication. Not wanting to say what you feel because you don't want to hurt the other person's feelings, or you think they're going to think less of you. But if that's the case, then it's not meant to be, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship. But yeah, good communication is definitely important. And then anger control. We all get angry, but how we express it can affect our relationships and others. So anger can be handled in healthy ways. So think of ways that you could control your own anger, such as taking a deep breath, maybe counting to 10, talk it out, write it out in a journal, punch a pillow, but make sure that you are able to control your anger.
Yeah, I think that's particularly important because once your actions are done, they can have lasting effect on your relationship. So you want to think before.
So in a relationship with good communication and anger control, there are fighting fair, problem solving, and understanding. Fighting fair, everyone argues at some point. But those who are fair stick to the subject and avoid insults that are more likely to come up with a possible solution. Partners and friends should take a short break away from each other if the discussion gets too heated.
I feel this is really easy to fall into blaming the other person when we get emotional, and we might not be used to focus on behavior solely. Like, when I'm affected by someone's behavior, I always try to remember the steps in nonviolent communication. So it's basically a 4 steps focus on clearly expressing how am I feeling without blaming or criticizing the other. So first, I talk about my observation as objectively as possible. So for example, when I hear this or that, rather than when you say this or that. So you really focus on your own senses rather than saying someone else is doing something. And then you mention your feelings. So I feel attacked or insulted or sad or angry. Whatever feeling the other person's behavior kind of triggered in you. And after that you express what you observe and how you feel, that's when you want to talk about your needs and also your requests. So you want to be solution focused. So for example, when I see this, I feel excluded and I need to feel included. So would you be willing to let me know next time there is a get together? A good part of good communication and fighting fair is you want to shift the focus from the problem to the solution and what could be done next time to solve whatever happened. So yeah, it brings us to the next characteristic of healthy relationship, which is really problem solving.
In problem solving, we can learn to solve problems and identify new solutions by breaking a problem into smaller parts or by taking it through the situation. In understanding, each person should take time to really understand and think what the other person might be feeling. I think a really important saying here is, how would you feel if you were in their shoes? And that's something that I tell myself all the time.
And I think it's actually the second part of nonviolent communication. And it's good to remember how you would feel, but it's also good to acknowledge that everyone has their own feelings and they don't react in the same way in different situation or in the same situation. So when the other person is expressing their observation, feelings, needs, and requests, we really must receive it empathetically, basically with compassion, and really focusing on the other person, not trying to feel it as like a personal blame or criticism. Like try to let go of yourself and really focus on the other person's perspective. And this can increase your improving a lot your communication.
Yeah, so finally, self-confidence. When friends have confidence in themselves, it can really help the relationship with others. It really shows that they are calm and comfortable enough to allow others to express their opinion without forcing their own opinion on them.
We have being a role model is another characteristic. So by that we mean that when you embody what respect actually means, then partners or friends can inspire each other, other friends, other partners, and family to also behave in a respectful way. So it's pretty much when you show that you're being a good person or a good partner, whatever term you want to use there, then hopefully others see that and will then react the same way. So now that we talked about the characteristics in a positive and healthy relationship, what do you guys think of characteristics that are part of an unhealthy relationship?
On my side, I would say when you don't feel comfortable to express yourself or you always feel you need to change the way you are to fit in, I think that's when it's not healthy.
For sure, yeah, you're not able to be who you really are, and you're kind of like putting a mask on for each relationship.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
I think it's like, yeah, exactly. I think it's really important just to feel yourself and that you feel you can talk freely. And when you don't feel that way, maybe there's something wrong.
I also feel like relationships should be two-sided, and I feel like a relationship should be like, when I have a relationship, either a romantic or like a friendship, it should be somebody that a person should always add something to your life. And if you have like a problem and stuff, I want to be able to like go to my friends or go to my partner and talk about that. But I've had past friendships in my past, which has all been about this one person, and I haven't been able to go back and talk about like my own things. So I think it's really important that there's a two-way street there.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like at some point those kind of relationships kind of become toxic because it's like they're always putting everything on you, and you're kind of like I also need to like let go of like my problems, my issues, and I want to tell you, but like you don't care. And I feel like that becomes toxic.
And I think is what you said, Brittany, is really true. And I think you can extend that also to for me, unhealthy relationship, for example, could be friends that don't respect your own like boundaries. And a healthy relationship could be with somebody who doesn't respect your boundaries, like that's also really important. If you have stated your boundaries, of course, you can't expect them to just guess them, but somebody who like who doesn't respect your individuality, for example, and they're like, we should do this, like do that, and you're like, no, like that's not really my thing, and they're like, yeah, we should do it, you know, like pushing and stuff like that. So that would be my definition of an unhealthy relationship.
Yeah, basically people that are pressuring you to do things you don't really want to do.
Yeah, for example. All
I
right.
think there are a few examples. I don't know what you guys, our listener, if you agree with what we say and also with the characteristic of healthy relationship. Like, do you find them in most of your relationship? And most importantly, as Brittany said, like, are you yourself acting in a way that allows your friends and your partner to feel this way, to feel respected, to feel that they are in a healthy relationship? Because it's easy to question the people about their own behavior, but it's much harder to look at ourselves and see what we do wrong and how we could improve. Oh, by the way, did we tell you that you're listening to the Youth Fusion Radio Hour? If so, now you know.
That was a very interesting discussion. So on to our midway game, and we're going to bring one of our favorites, which was the Guess the Sound. Yeah,
Let's do it.
We really had fun last time, so we assume you did too. You can hear our sounds now. We'll tell you the results of the sound at the end.
Awesome. Okay, so part 2, our podcast, we're diving into a movie that kind of represents, kind of doesn't, healthy relationships. So like I said, it's been 14 years since High School Musical came out, and also 14 years since I've watched it personally. Not sure about the rest of you guys. But it's kind of a cute movie, I'm not going to lie. Pretty cheesy, but still cute. So for those of you guys who don't remember, it opens up with a beautiful winter scene. It's New Year's Eve. Troy, aka Zac Efron, is a basketball star, and then Gabriella, don't know, Vanessa Hudgens, I think, is the actress. She's a well-read, very shy girl. They were actually forced to sing a duet together at some kind of party, and a spark has formed as they are singing together, but they did not share a New Year's kiss. And then as you move into the movie, they end up being at the same school. You get to know more about them and other characters and the differences in the lives of the various characters. Mainly, of course, it is around Troy and Gabriella. So though Troy is part of this basketball team where everyone on the basketball team literally lives and breathes basketball, including his dad, who's the coach, you discover that he has a different passion, which is to sing. And then afraid of what his friends and his dad thinks, he keeps it to himself for a while. Literally is like dodging his friend, dodging his dad around the school as you see him running around trying to get to an audition. So kind of getting from that, like, does this actually sound like a healthy relationship, hiding things from people who are important to you?
I think that's a good question. If you think through the prism that we exposed, like we talked about before, I would say no, because it shows that he doesn't feel safe to share his passion with neither his dad and his friends, mostly his dad. So I'm like a little bit worried for him. He's really afraid that neither of them will accept him if he decides to sing, you know? And when his teammate finds that he wants to sing, they're very disappointed at first. They even try to sabotage him a little bit. It's very cute, huh? Don't worry, nothing massive. But they soon recover their senses and they finally decide to support him. So in literally like 1 second, they change their mind. They're very sweet people. Like we said before, honesty and individuality are really important traits in a healthy relationship, as well as acceptance. And Troy being discovered when auditioning for the musical creates a positive atmosphere in the school, because suddenly people are more into being honest with themselves. So we find out like one of the teenagers love baking creme brulee, and this other guy says like, well, if Troy wants to be a singer, then I'm coming clean. I'm playing the cello. So very cute again.
I love the next line after that, where the guy's like, what's the cello? Like sawing something? For those of you guys who watch it again, it's kind of funny. But what Marie was saying, so that line is in the song called Stick to the Status Quo. So it's interesting because at first when the song starts, these stereotypical high school cliques, you got the jocks, or I think they're jocks, so you got like I don't want to say nerds, but kind of like the nerdy people, and you got like the skateboarders. They all can't tell their friends, or they want to expose something, and their friends like, yeah, share your secret. But then once the person actually shares their secret, they like yell, no, stick to the status quo, meaning that they shouldn't do more than what is expected of them, or what's expected of them in their kind of clique. So Chad, which is Troy's best friend, he actually then is like later says stuff that is not their stuff, that people are exposing that, you know, they want to do this. And again, so like things that make them an individual, and going back to the individuality trait, he makes it sound like it's such a bad thing. So these people who are their real friends are not encouraging them in their hobbies and in their interests beyond their groups. Like they don't want them to be like unique individuals, I guess, is what I got from the song.
We're all in this
God.
together. No, no, no. I don't remember the words, but I love. Anyways, that's a great song. I think High School Musical is a great movie because it really celebrates everyone's differences. And like the movie says, we're all in this together. And High School Musical really demonstrated the importance of healthy relationships. When Troy and Gabriella first wanted to try something new, and like Natalie said, their friends really resisted. But as the story goes on and Troy's friends realized that they had to try to understand them, and they worked together and solved the situation, ending with each character really celebrating in their own individuality, which in turn causes more students to leave the quote-unquote status quo and be themselves. But what is really important here is the trust and understanding that takes place in this story. Growing up in my school, there was definitely distinct cliques and quote-unquote status quo that I see in High School Musical, and I think this probably exists in every school, but I think it's really important that we respect each other. People can be involved, people can be super smart and super athletic, and I think that just makes a person even more individual and unique, and I think we really have to respect that, and that's the key with a healthy relationship.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't think I've ever seen such unity in a school, ever.
Well, at the end.
In the real world, yeah, at the end, like everybody's friend at the end, because everybody's so excited because they won the biathlon, they won the football game, and they also won the first part in the musical. No spoilers. But we can always strive for better things, right? Anyway, something that struck me in the movie, I think, was the unity, I just said that, between the schoolmates. Even though they're in a fight for a hot second, like a really hot second, you can tell then all these friends have very, very, very healthy relationships and solve their conflicts so easily. And what I've really like, my takeaway from that movie is that it's usually harder to do something alone. Like, for example, Troy versus the world, or Gabriella versus the world. but that sharing the same common purpose and sense of directions with your friend can get you ahead easily. So you can see that Sharpay and Ryan, they don't have many healthy relationships in the school, right? And in the end, well, they don't get the main role in the musical. Gabriella and Troy do. And yeah, it's a mix of talent and solid friendship for sure. So thank you guys for bearing with us for our 6th episode of the Youth Fusion Radio Hour. I think now it's time for a big reveal because we've all been waiting to know what were our sounds. So my sound was first, and it was actually a sound I discovered while listening to a podcast. It was like this next thing playing, and it's actually the sound of rain on a banana field, and it's so relaxing. I was obsessed. I listened to it like 25 times in a row.
Love it. My sound was actually, I thought this was interesting because a lot of you guys might need this right now, is the sound of a haircut. It's an ASMR video of someone cutting someone's hair, so hopefully you could hear it in there.
My sound, because I'm super random, but not as random as Murray, it appears. It's just a random herd of elephants.
Oh, goes Brittany.
Thanks so much to our listeners out there. It's been another great podcast. I hope you keep tuned for the next episode of the Youth Fusion Radio Hour. If you have an idea of what we should talk about next, let us know. Subscribe to our channel. And if you follow us on Facebook at Youth Fusion Indigenous Youth Community, we'd like to thank our Youth Fusion and all our listeners out there. Boom.
Peace.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Thank you for
Bye, guys.